Hi, today I'm going to cover a 4-step model that you can use to figure out why your conversation went off the rails. The model is called TRIP, and it stands for TRIP, topic, relationship, identity, and process. So let's handle the first one, topic. The topic is just the agenda of the conversation. It's what you're talking about and what the other person is talking about. And sometimes two people can be talking about different things. And if they don't realize it, that can lead to a lot of confusion and probably some frustration. So if your topic is about performance, about reaching goals, and the other person's topic is about fairness or team size, that's an example where the T's are different and you might get into trouble with the other person because you're speaking at cross purposes. The next one is relationship, which is sometimes one that's the most difficult to find. The relationship is how you and the other person relate to each other. So as an example, if two friends happen to work together, then when they're having a discussion, one person may be thinking that this is two friends having a conversation and having those expectations, but the other person is thinking about these are two coworkers having a conversation because you're at work, in which case the expectations are different. So the person who thinks that they're friends may feel that the other person is being overly stuffy or somehow distant, but the person who thinks of this as a work situation and thinks the other person is being too casual or taking advantage of their relationship. And this is a kind of thing that can sometimes create a conflict between two people, a relationship conflict. The next one is identity, which is how you think of yourself. So you might think of yourself as an expert on the topic, or you might think of yourself as an authority on something. You may think of yourself as someone who deserves deference around the topic. And if the other person or persons don't give you that, they don't recognize you as an expert or as an authority or as in someone who's more senior, perhaps with more time and role, etc., then the identity might be challenged. And when people's identity is challenged, they tend to become upset and angry because they want to defend that identity. That's something the brain does automatically, and I talked about that before in one of my talks about the amygdala. And so when that happens, you really want to give the person some space and not challenge their identity even more. The last one is process. And process is just a road that people are going to follow to get from the start of the conversation to the end of the conversation. So in some cases, the process could be just two people talking in confidence, and if both people are good with that, that's fine. Sometimes the process could be a vote, and one person thinks that it should be a majority rule, the other person thinks it should be unanimous. And if there's a difference in that, then that's a process conflict. But sometimes people use process to meet their goals when the other goals aren't met. So for example, if a person comes to you privately and doesn't get the recognition that they deserve, or doesn't think that a relationship is the same one they're expecting, or you don't want to talk about a subject, well, then they might use a different process to get attention. For example, create a social media post. And so that's a very different process as opposed to having a confidential conversation. Now this person is putting you on blast. And they're doing that because they didn't get recognition in these other areas. Of course, that creates a lot of problems, and we always see these things happening on social media. And sometimes people need the process so badly that is actually the most important thing for them in the whole conflict. So I had a situation once when I was doing an arbitration, and the person's demand was very surprising to me. And the entire reason for that demand was just so that they could show up in this arbitration process and be heard. The person really didn't even care about the outcome. They didn't care about a ruling in their favor. They just wanted someone to hear them out. So don't underestimate the importance of a process for a person who's in conflict. So you might want to ask about that. What's meaningful to them? And I would suggest from a mediation perspective that a private process without an audience is usually preferable to performing in front of an audience to get their sympathy and their votes. So how can you use this in your situation? You can think of it as making a chart that has topic, relationship, identity, and process on one side, and think about what that is for you, and think about what that is for the other person, And if there are differences in any of them, that would be something you'd want to explore, you'd want to have a private conversation about, and you'd want to see how you can address some of these issues. Because if you see a difference, that might actually be a good reason to have a conversation and to explore them. And if you handle that conversation well, you might actually increase your relationship as well as solve the problem. So I hope that's helpful to you. Let me know, send me an email or follow up on LinkedIn. Thanks. Have a great day.